What have I done?
I'm sorry you have to walk 1,000 miles just to...
Finish that sentence. Why do I have to walk 1,000 miles?
Happy trail, Cheryl.
Turn away. Hey guys, welcome to What the Flick. We're all here, which is exciting if you're us.
Not so much for you guys.
I won't speak for you. Alonzo, Christy, Matt, and Ben. Reese Witherspoon. In Telluride, when I saw this dubbed, it was like the hype instantly it's Reese Witherspoon's Oscar bait. Is that the case, Ben?
Yes. Wild is the story of Cheryl Strayed and her experience on a 1,000-mile hike on the Pacific Crest Trail. It took her almost 3 months, and she does this in the wake of a divorce and a few other things, getting over a death in the family years later. She's kind of a lost soul, and she hopes to maybe find herself on this hike. Let's take a look.
From the sound of your own voice.
You get lonely. I'm lonelier in my real life than I am out here.
Follow the avalanche.
Must have been some breakup, huh?
Breakup is sort of a shorthand. How much do I love you? I miss you. God, I miss you. My mother was the love of my life.
You're using heroin, and you're having sex with anyone who asks.
Here's the problem that I've had with this movie throughout, and it's fine. Which is how I felt about a lot of movies, to tell you right. They're fine. Like, I like that, fine. This movie, to me, is about a woman who is sad and promiscuous and goes on a 1,000-mile hike and comes out slightly less sad and slightly less promiscuous. And along the way, she does not have many great adventures. It's just like this personal story of sort of where she tries to find herself, and I guess does, because Cheryl Strayed did. And I was not moved by it, and I didn't feel any much drama during it. That said, it's beautiful and really well acted and well structured, but I found it without a great deal of feeling, except for some very, very emotional scenes between Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern, who plays her mom, who's terrific.
I was moved by it. I was moved by it repeatedly, but especially there's a scene toward the end where she's in the woods and she's near the end of her journey and she runs into a little boy and his aunt or
grandmother.
Grandmother.
I love that
a couple
scene.
of months for me.
That
and
little
that got
angelic
me.
boy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's so open-hearted and like she needs that in that moment. And that really got to me. But even along the way, there are great little moments and great powerful moments because it's so unlike anything we've ever seen her do before. She has this in her, and no one's ever given her a chance to show it, and so she had to seek this out herself and say, I'm not going to change a word of this.
Yeah,
This is me now.
This movie for me was so many great surprises because for the one thing, you look at the premise and you think, okay, so this is basically Eat, Pray, Love crossed with 127 hours, you know? So I was like, yeah. And then I thought, okay, and I'm supposed to buy Reese Witherspoon as a promiscuous heroin addict, you know, because she's always very super in control and, you know, does not usually play the kind of characters who are messy and fucked up and whatever.
Her production company is called Type A.
Well, yeah, not for nothing, right. And then to top it off is directed by the guy who made Dallas Buyers Club, which you may recall I fucking hated. So I was not going into this with very high expectations. And I was amazed at how much I liked this movie. I really cared about her literal journey and metaphorical one. I thought it was very funny, which just surprised me. I was expecting it to be very sort of growthful and Oprah-y, but it's funny along the way. I mean, and it just gets a little, it's written by Nick Hornby, who is one of my favorite authors.
Mine too.
And you know, he's obviously written a lot of books about kind of fucked up people coming of age. Just getting a lot of the little details right. Like, I mean, I've never done a hike of that magnitude, but I've done long, you know, like breast cancer walks and stuff where, you know, you do like a marathon. And, you know, the whole thing about you get a little bit of a song stuck in your head and it just repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. Like the way they wove that throughout, I thought was really great. I thought the flashbacks were really well done. Yeah, Laura Dern is terrific. And ultimately, it felt like that it went somewhere, and that I saw this character kind of go through a progression and have an arc, and yeah, it was both episodic and this sort of big, journey at the same time.
And I don't think you need to have had that kind of really extreme, dire stuff happen in your life to relate to the drive to want to change yourself and to reach a point in your life where you're like, I'm sick of myself, I've got to change something. So you don't have to have been a promiscuous heroin addict. It helps, of course.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Take it from Chris.
Thank you.
I thought this was an interesting.
I didn't know you did heroin.
No, just a little bit in college,
Who
just to be
doesn't?
social.
Come on.
All the cool kids were doing it.
I like this a lot. I wasn't overwhelmed by it, but there are some interesting things going on. I did like the opportunity to see Reese Witherspoon in a much different role than we've seen.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Mud was kind of the setup for this, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we see this. She plays this character. Cheryl Strayed, as written in this movie at least, is a mess, right? I mean, it's she's a heroin addict, and you see, you get into that progression. But even before the heroin starts, she's a bitch to her mom. Like, she is not nice. Like, there's all these scenes with her growing up, and she's going to college, and her mom's trying to get her life back together. There's that one scene where she's at the table, and her mom's singing, and she says, "What are you singing about? Like, your life is terrible," right? And it's really I feel like it captures that kind of casual kind of contempt that teenagers and kids in their 20s may have for their parents. I thought that was, it made it work, and you kind of, at least as a parent, I kind of looked at this and like, there's a kid who doesn't know what they're talking about, and they'll regret it later. And you kind of see her regretting that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she more felt lost because I don't think she was a bitch to her mom. I didn't take it that way. I thought their relationship was sort of, because at times they were incredibly close. Even throughout every era, there were times when they were incredibly close. She was smarter than her mom, or not so much smarter than her mom. She was
more educated.
Better educated and going places, and her mom seemed very comfortable.
But the way she said it, that scene in the car where she's like, yeah, it must be weird that I'm so much more sophisticated to you. Like, that's such an awful
really nice
thing.
scene.
Or where she talks about how, like, oh, you married this awful alcoholic, and Lordran's like, well, yeah, I did, but I got the kids out of it, so I wouldn't change a thing.
Right, the mom has perspective that Reese does not have until
Exactly.
she goes through
Right.
That's my point.
I thought that, because you guys obviously liked it better than I did, but I didn't dislike it. I did like it, and I thought Reese Witherspoon was terrific, and I thought Laura Dern was extremely terrific.
That's your blurb.
That's my blurb. Stupid.
It's the NyQuil talking.
Right, and I thought together they were. I just felt like I have to. I did a fair amount of this during it. I'm like, how many more other people is she going to meet and not have anything dramatic happen with? That was a really nice scene with the aunt and the grandmother, or whatever it was, and the boy. Wasn't there an animal in that scene?
Yes, a llama.
Yeah, it was a llama.
Oh, the llama, yeah. I forgot about that.
It was nice, and I really liked her first interaction when she stumbles upon a guy who when she brought the wrong Bunsen burner.
Oh, right.
And so she has to, and so she's super hungry, and she doesn't trust this guy. Like, that was I liked sort of her fear, but eagerness to get something.
I have never seen a movie outside of like something like a horror movie or Ms. 45 or something that really that so accurately portrayed that sense of a woman on her own in a dangerous situation, having to approach each new stranger who's a guy that she approaches with, are you a rapist?
Now,
are you going to kill me? And then sort of figuring out, okay, maybe you're not. So let
me speak to that, because I think that's relevant for how I reacted to it, and maybe just means that Matt and Alonzo are better, more cultured, more open men of the 21st century. I saw it in a packed theater, right? Of non-critics. These are mostly some industry people. Mostly people.
the real people at the Telluride Film Festival.
Real rich people.
Real rich people, exactly,
right.
yeah.
But almost without fail, there were a lot of people in tears in this movie. They were all women. And so I think that there is a really good chance that, and usually I like to think that I could see through that, but in this case I didn't. But there were a lot of women who were just moved by it. And I think that women who have either a good relationship or a bad relationship, but a significant relationship with their mothers, which would count you.
I mean, but she died a long time ago.
I know, but you still had, but without betraying
was
too much,
important
but it was still,
to you.
it was
really
important to you.
close to her.
It mattered.
Sure.
It matters to you, and she was a big person in your life.
Yeah.
Maybe more moved by this movie than others, because that was. I wish I wanted to like it more. I didn't dislike it. I think Reese Witherspoon is. I love that she challenged herself. I think she rose to the challenge. I think it was well written. I love Nick Hornby. I just somehow felt unfully grabbed in, but I didn't like it in the end much less than you guys did.
I was more moved not by the mother-daughter relationship, but by the thing with the little boy as a mother of a little boy myself. That's what finally like made me snap.
Okay. All right.
So, but that was really well done.
So I think I'm low man on the totem pole
Yes.
here. I think
Okay, what's your number?
I'm
Give me a number.
I'm at 6.9.
You are.
I'm at 8.2. This was a real surprise for me and a real treat, and I liked it a lot.
7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. This side of the table has it right.
And you should know that she did actually carry her own backpack. And apparently, your friend Jean-Marc Vallée, whose work you don't like, said you need to make it heavier. And so when she actually is carrying that big ass heavy backpack,
Yeah,
that legitimately, and she's a tiny person. She's like 5 feet tall. That's a giant backpack.
And I thought the shedding of the baggage, both metaphorical and
Right.
physical,
Yeah.
was like a cool little idea in the movie too.
And just in general, movies that have people carrying stuff is always wrong. You know, no one has ever even strained anything when picking up suitcases to put in a cab in a movie, ever. Not one time. Every suitcase is like,
Yeah, it's Kirk Cameron's empty cocoa mug all over again.
and no matter how many years you could do 27 years at a company, the day you get fired, it fits into the
One
One box at a
one box-
plant.
one box that weighs 3
Right.
pounds.
This is
Yeah.
a real backpack.
Yeah, this is a real backpack, yeah.
Bye, thanks.